Island Hawksbill project with Kelleigh Downs. Thank you.
Aloha, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate everyone here taking the time to listen to this presentation about our Hawaiian hawksbills on this island. I have been with the project since 2020, and right now I'm one of the field leads for the project. And so today I'm just gonna talk to you what we do, how we do things, and just talk about Hawaiian hawksbills in general, because a lot of people don't even know they exist here. So to start off with, a lot of the numbers and graphs I'll be using, we were actually able, there was a paper published about the project for the last 30 years, and so that's where a lot of these numbers are coming from. Also, is that better?
How's that?
Is that better? Thank you.
Better?
Yeah.
Good. I want to start off with all of our partners and sponsors. Our project is a large collaboration between many entities, and we would not be able to do any of the things we're able to do without these partners and sponsors. So I just wanted to start off with a big mahalo to them. So starting off with, there we go. Starting off with just a little bit about the project itself. So we are the Hawaii Island Hawksbill Project. We monitor and protect the endangered Honuea hawksbill nest on the island. And so in 1987, there was reports of a possible pig on a beach, and they actually found out it was a nesting hawksbill, and nobody knew there was nesting hawksbills on this island, so that's jump-started this program. So from 1988 to 1990, surveys were done along the southern coast of this island to basically figure out what beaches and where hawksbills might potentially be nesting at. And since then, since 1991, we have been metal tagging females. And as of this year, actually, we just tagged our 200th female, which is really exciting, but also, in that time period, it really shows how little, only 200 females in the last 30 years, so. And then our project, we are based out of Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. That's where our office is, that's where all of our equipment is. And like I said before, we are a big collaborator. This is a lot of entities. This picture just shows we have a lot of our volunteers, our national park volunteers. We also have a lot of community members that help us out to help us patrol our sites. And there's just a lot of people involved with this because it really does take everybody to help us out with these turtles. So we focus on the nesting population because we're dealing with nesting hawksbills, and so everyone's really familiar with the Honu, but a lot of people don't know about the Honuea. And so these numbers are just the nesting population. So every season, we have about 400 to 800 individual Honus nesting. They're primarily nesting in the Northwesterns. Most of them are out there. And then with the Honuea, we have about 10 to 25 individuals. So that shows you right there how big of a jump of numbers between the two nesting populations. So with the hawksbills, over 85% of the nesting females are nesting on this island. They do nest on Maui. They get about 1 or 2 females. And then also we think there is a good nesting population on Molokai as well, but a lot more surveys need to be done at that point. So just real quick about the two species because a lot of people don't know about them. And so the hawksbill gets its name from that bill, that hawk-like bill. And this is actually so you can tell the difference between their faces. And that's primarily because of what they're eating. So the hawksbill are primarily eating sponges. So that hawk-like bill is really good for pulling that out of coral. Where the greens, they're more like grazers. They are using the blunt beak to scrape off algae or limu off the rocks. And so another thing to do, because a lot of people take pictures of turtles saying that help us identify if it's a hawksbill or a green. We really look at that prefrontal scales, which are the scales in between the eyes. Hawksbills have 4, greens have 2 prefrontal scales. And one thing we're really trying to promote is because we see a lot of people just see turtles on the beach and instantly think they must be nesting, but the greens actually do that really unique behavior, which is basking here. That's really unique. A lot of other places in the world, they don't do that, except some other spotted islands, so it's really unique behavior here. And so one of the things we're trying to promote is teaching people about honu. They rest on the beach. The ea nest. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that. So another big characteristic between the two is the scutes. So these big scales on their shell are called scutes, and the hawksbill have overlapping scutes, kind of like shingles on a roof, where the greens, theirs are just right next to each other. And I added both these pictures because these two juveniles in the middle are picture perfect. That's really what, they're beautiful and everything, but then in reality, our turtles' kind of shells look like that. That's why I put both of those on here. Another thing is the serrated edges. As you can see in this juvenile, you can definitely see those serrated edges. But with the female, this is one of our nesting females, I think over time, they do so much foraging in the rocks, they just get worn down. So sometimes we can't go based off the serrated edges for our females. And so if we aren't able to actually see the turtles, we can actually tell the species by the tracks, which is super helpful for us because we're not able to go to all of our sites. When I teach children, what we do is we walk like a turtle. And one of the things we teach is that the hawksbill, they actually walk differently. So what they do is they're alternating their gait when they walk, walking like that. It creates what I call the Nike swoosh in the sand. It kind of looks like a swoosh, like that. And then with the greens, they synchronize when they walk together. And that looks like more to me like tank tracks in the sand. And so it's really choppy, really close together. So if we're not able to see the turtle, we can actually be like, that is a green, and that's a hawksbill, which is super helpful. Also another thing, because we do get pictures of tracks all the time, another thing we're trying to promote too is looking at the behavior of the tracks if we don't see a turtle. The greens that are basking will do a typical U-turn. So they'll come up, they'll go right above the water line, take a nap, and then they'll U-turn right back into the ocean. Where our hawksbills that are nesting are going up high, past the water line, up into vegetation, and basically nesting up high. They actually look for vegetation that's telling them it's above the high water line, and it's a good place to nest. So just a little facts about our hawksbills themselves, our females. So our nesting season, we are in peak season right now, which means we're having females and hatchlings at the same time. But they start coming in May, and we'll have hatchlings until December. But lately, it's starting to feel like year-round. We're having females later and early. This season, we think we have females starting in March, which is really crazy. But we end up having hatchlings sometimes in January and February as well. So we might be year-round monitoring. And our females, so when they come up during a season, they come up multiple times in a season. We can have a female lay up 3 to 6 nests in one season, and which is super helpful, as in if somebody tells us, hey, we found tracks this day, we can actually calculate and be able to be like, oh, she'll come back in 15 to 20 days, and make sure we'll go to that site so we can see if we can observe her at that time. And we also have, but they don't nest every season. So our females are having nesting gaps through the year. So we have some females that come back every 2 years. Then we have some females that come back every 5, like clockwork. So that's why our seasons fluctuate so much. Sometimes we have a lot of females nesting at one time. Sometimes we don't have too many. And that's because they don't come back every season. So these are our project objectives. This is what our project focuses on. These are our goals. So one is identifying hawksbill nesting activity. So this is a picture. It's kind of hard to see, but we have to work in red light because the females come up at night to nest. And so here we're taking measurements. We're also looking for hatchling activity as well, because sometimes we don't see every female that lays and that makes a nest. We're protecting and managing nesting habitat. This is a picture when she lays. This is what we call our nest cage. We put these over the nest. They're basically to keep non-native predators out because we have mongoose, rats, and cats that will dig into the nest. We are ensuring hatchlings reach the ocean safely. We also do controlling non-native predators and vegetation. we were able to observe a cat on the beach while a turtle was nesting. Cats seem to focus more on the hatchlings. I think they're just creeping on the beach and they're fun things to play with. But the non-native predators are a big issue for our nesting turtles. And then we also promote public stewardship and things like this. So this is a map of, most of our activity is happening on the southern part of the island. And we have about 14 beaches we try to cover, and they're spread really far. These also are extremely remote beaches, so they're really hard to access for the most part. But we've broken our beaches down into 3 major complexes. These complexes are basically our top 3 sites. So within each complex, so our top site is actually Kamehame, and we have multiple sites within this complex. And then our second site is Pahue, and we have multiple sites here. And then Apua is our 3rd top nesting site. So basically this just helps us, so when we go out to these sites, we're kind of like this crew is in charge of all these complexes at that time. And that's why they're broken down into these nice complexes for us. But yeah, over 85% of the Hawaiian hawksbills are nesting on this island. So how are we patrolling? We're doing kind of 2 types of things. We are doing night monitoring, which that means we go out to our sites, we camp overnight because they're nesting in the middle of the night. We do hour beach checks, meaning we walk the beach every hour. Or we're doing day checks, which basically means we just go out to the site for the day. We look for activity, new activity, document it, and do things like nest excavations and document any activity we see. Like I said, our sites are really remote. They are really hard to access, so hiking up to 10 miles in a day just to get to some of these sites. This is a picture of our camp. We sleep in cots sometimes, also tents. And some of our sites are so remote, we do have to helicopter equipment out for the beginning of the season, just so we can have water at some of our sites, so we don't have to, go through the catchment and filter system. So while we're out here, while we do our camping, this is gonna be a video, I'm gonna play it in one moment. But we're walking that beach every hour looking for nesting activity. So this is a video of a female emerging from the water. Let me get my, we have night vision, so we can monitor and watch her from afar, because a lot of our beaches, we have black sand beaches, and it is really, really dark. And it's really hard to see anything. So we try to use these night vision goggles so that we can see her from far away. That is a satellite tag that's on her. It's one of the old ones. They're looking a lot better now. They don't look like a cell phone block anymore. So they make their way up. I'm really sorry for my shaky camera work. I get a little too excited. We're also scanning, because you might see there's actually greens that are sleeping on the beach too at this time of night. So we're looking for activity, and then when she comes up, this is a really cute video of a turtle butt. So when she finds up, she'll go up to that vegetation. She's looking for a good suitable spot. She'll start digging. So this is a really cute video of her digging. So when we're also walking, we also use all of our senses. You can hear the sand. You can hear her before we see her. I've also been able to smell a female before I see her. I do not know how to describe the smell. Maybe something at the bottom of the ocean, musky. It's a very peculiar smell, but it's a very unique smell as well. So using all of our senses just to hear them, because it's dark, it is actually really hard to see them. And they're sneaky. Our ladies are very sneaky. They love climbing over cobblestones so we can't see tracks. Very, very smart. Also, hawksbills do a really cute thing. It's called ladling, meaning when they're making that their nest chamber, they actually ladle and scoop the sand out like this and fling it. It's really adorable. I love it. And it's really incredible too. They're doing this without seeing. This is all by feel and everything. So it's really, really special to see. And then when she finishes digging, this process also can take a while. We have some females that can do this in less than an hour. Then we have some females that will keep us up all night 4 hours later, she's still digging holes, and she'll dig multiple holes, and it's a long night. But once she finds a suitable hole, she'll start laying. So in this video, I'll start it now, but you're gonna see her flippers contract, and then hopefully you can see it, but there's gonna be some eggs dropping right in here. Here's contraction, and I don't know if you can see that. Looks like it was dark. So this is her laying. When they do lay, they actually go into what's called a trance, and so they're kind of not really full aware of what's around them, but hawksbills in general are more like a skittish compared to other species of turtles. And then once she's done laying, this is really cute, they'll cover. Also, you'll notice those metal tags. Those are the tags that we put on our females to identify them. They have letters and numbers, so we can associate with different individuals. She's doing a great job. Another thing that they do after she finishes covering with her back flippers, she'll also start covering with her front flippers. That's when we get out because rocks are coming at us and she'll throw everything at us. And also, hawksbills are really good at camouflaging their nest. So what she'll do when she starts front flipper covering, she'll walk around in circles and do different things. We've had some females covering for over an hour sometimes. It's actually incredible. And then it makes our job hard because they're such good at camouflaging, it's hard to find the nest. And they do that to help keep predators away, basically. But they're very good at it. I've dug a lot of holes in my life looking for nests. And then when she's done laying, she will make her way back to the ocean. All these videos too, we have some really unique day nesters, which are just either really early in the morning. So we were able to capture this, but this is a turtle sprint for sure. She is running, but you can also see that alternating. See how her, when she's running? She's running. That is a sprint.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And then, as you can see in this video too, she made it in a good spot. But a lot of our beaches are super rocky, and light is very disorienting. So we make sure the females actually make it into the water instead of getting stuck in these rocks as well. So then, when she is in that trance, when she is laying, we have a few minutes to collect some data. And one of the things we will do when she's in that trance is take measurements. This is our caliper. We're taking straight measurements of her shell, and then we'll also take width as well. We also do tape measuring as well, like for the curve of her shell. And once she's done laying, we will also do metal tag. We'll tag our metal tags on her back flippers. And then we'll also, if she doesn't already, we have like a whole itinerary of all of our females. And if she needs a biopsy sample, we'll also collect one as well. And then when she's done laying, then we wait for the hatchlings. So these are our nest cages that we apply. Incubation takes about 50 to 60 days. And then right before they start hatching, we'll cut a little opening so the hatchlings can make it out, but the nest is still protected with those wire enclosures. But we do say 1 in 1,000 hatchlings survive to adulthood. So that is a very scary number for especially our hawksbills. And one thing that we're also trying to promote as well is a lot of people, they do find hatchlings on their own and they'll let us know. And I think the first instinct is to pick them up and put them straight into the water. But they actually need what I call sand time, that imprinting on the sand, because the females will come back to the beach that they were born on. And so not only is that important, there's a lot of research going on, but that sand time is really important for those hatchlings, for that imprinting process, but also them walking on the beach, and that gets their heart rate going, it gets their adrenaline going, and they need that adrenaline to swim far out. So like them having time on that beach is super, super important. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, that, there. The other thing too that we really want to promote is using red light at our sites and our beaches, because both the females and the hatchlings are disoriented by light. If humans were not here, they're associating the light with the moon reflecting on the water, and that tells them the direction they need to go. So lights are really disorienting, and red light we use primarily when we're working our whole time, we're using red light. So what we're asking is, like, if you go and you're camping, if you can minimize white light on the beach, if you can use red light, a lot of headlamps nowadays have red light, which is really awesome. Or just minimize using the white light, like not leaving them on and everything. It's really important for the hatchlings. And then once everyone's favorite part is once it's hatchling windows. So this is a game camera. I actually set it up to actually catch predation happening, and I caught a really rare moment, which is an emergence. They're really rare to see, but this is 140 hatchlings coming out at the same time. So this is really important for all of them to come up at the same time. It's kind of safety's in number kind of thing, so that there's a lot more hatchlings to get to the ocean all at the same time instead of having 10 or like 5 hatchlings that come out at once. So that emergence is really important. Oh, it's gonna play again. I'll play it again.
Yeah, it's too cute.
Cool.
And this process happens in minutes. Like, if you're not sitting there staring at the nest, you will miss it. It's really, really fast. And they're also called a boil, because when they start hatching out, it looks like the sand's boiling because there's so many of them moving around. And then once all of the hatchlings, we think most of the hatchlings are safely to the ocean, we'll do what we call nest excavations. I love this picture because our cuckoo intern her face is telling you exactly how good it smells in this nest. They've been sitting in wet sand for about 50 to 60 days. And so why we're doing this, because we really want to determine the hatchling success in our nest. And also what we're doing is, while we're doing this, we are finding trapped hatchlings. Sometimes our mama's putting big rocks in there, which is not very nice, but sometimes they get stuck under rocks. Also roots and vegetation, the hatchlings, when they're trying to emerge, they do get stuck in some of these roots. So these nest excavations help anybody who's stuck in there. And then another thing we're doing right now is we're actually putting temperature probes in our nest. We're hoping this helps us in a lot of different kind of information. One, we want to kind of compare our success of nests between our black sand beaches and our white sand beaches, because we have both. And we think temperature might have a lot to do with the success of that. Also, sex ratio within a nest, in a clutch. You can have males and females, and it's temperature based. So if you have a cooler nest, you're actually going to have more males. If you have a hotter nest, you're going to have more females. And the easiest thing to remember is cool dudes, hot chicks. So we're really wanting to see how much maybe our temperature is producing more females, or we are producing more males in that aspect. So these temperature probes can tell us a lot what's going on inside the nest. And then finally, these are the results of the last, this paper that was published. It's from 1988 to 2018, the last 30 years of what the project's been doing. And like I said, our top sites, Kamehame, we've tagged 66 females and 472 in a 30-year span, which honestly, in retrospect to other like species and populations, sometimes 472 is what they get in one season. And this is what we've gotten in the last 30 years. So these are our top sites. I also have over here is our hatchling success. You can see that even though Kamehame is our top nesting site, the success is not as great as Pukue, which is our second top. So that's why we really want to find more information on why that is. And then this is a nice graph. This is the females the project has observed for the last 30-year period as well. From 1991, we started tagging females, and then to 2018. So the yellow is our neophytes, which means our new nesters. Basically, that just means it's a female that was not observed before, and now she's tagged. And then the green is our returnees. These are the ones that we tagged before, and now they've returned. So it makes sense at the beginning where we have a lot of our neophytes because we haven't observed them before. But since basically 2006 roughly, we're starting to see a small uptick of females. But we still have a lot to see, because if you remember, I said that, I don't think I actually said it. they actually reach sexual maturity between ages 20 and 50. So this project's been around for about 30 years. So we're just seeing that last generation that with the project's been protecting. So it's still going to take some time to see what's going on with the nesting population. Oh, those were the squares I was going to point out. And then quick threats. Development, the south side of the island does not have a lot of development going on, which I think is a big, huge factor for Hawksbills for sure. Like I said, the lighting is a big issue, especially in other places around the world. And this is an old picture from the Lou when they used to be able to drive on the beach. And so it's really nice to having our beaches not be able to drive on them, just because you could run over hatchlings, run over females. Also, that compacts the sand, makes it really, really hard to dig in the sand as well. Challenging habitat. Our females, I don't know why our hawksbills, they really like rocky areas. This is a female, and she nested in this cobblestone. They will do it, I don't know why. They're not thinking of their hatchlings, because the issue is if we're not there to see her do this, the hatchlings do get trapped in this cobblestone. So that's why it's also really important for us to be at some of these sites, so that we are able to translocate those nests to a better place for the hatchlings. Natural causes, we have a lot of erosion happening. Big storm events are really having an impact on our nests because we don't have a lot of beach now, and the waves are coming right up into the nest and everything. Washout happens a lot. Also, tides, we've had fire issues before. We've had fire at some of our beaches before, which can be a huge problem for hatchlings, especially with that light and the heat. And then non-native predators, like I've said before, they really do make it the biggest impact, to be honest. So, in retrospect, we always get, what can we do? Especially on this side of the island, Kona. You guys are on the opposite end of where they're nesting, but you guys visit beaches all the time. We also think they're nesting in other places, but they're very sneaky, so people may not even know this activity that they see on the beach. It could be nesting activity. But things like lights. So this is one of our informational cards we'll give out to people that we meet on the beach. And it's just things that you can do to help out, not just with the turtles, but also reporting activity. We rely on our community a lot. A lot of our activity that we even know of is from the community, because we can't go out to all these sites. The evidence gets disappears really fast. Wind with tracks, gone in like a day. So we really rely on that community. And this is like on the other side of the info card, it just kind of shows you the activity we're looking for, which is our tracks going up high above the water line into vegetation. Sometimes they really like ripping up the vegetation. Sometimes people think this is pig activity, but it actually is our turtles. And then, you can't see it, let me go back. Hatchling activity, when they start coming out of the eggs, a depression will start forming, which is basically a bowl. It can be really obvious, or it can look like just a footprint in the sand. But if we know an area where we think she nested and we have a hatchling window, it really helps us with to locate where that nest could be. And hatchling tracks, of course. And then this is, we have a website now. We've had it up for a couple years now. And one of the things we added is a reporting nesting activity. You can always call the number. You can leave a message because we're not in the office all the time. But we also have these forms that you can fill out, and it'll walk you through. So if you push this button, it'll take you to this. This is our jot form, and it will walk you through it. It's basically like what your name is, what your phone number is, so that we can contact you to ask you any questions. And then basically, where are you seeing? Can you take pictures? Can you take a video? Those help us out a lot, especially finding location on the beach and everything. So jot forms are really helpful. And then also on our website, we do have a new donation place as well. And I just wanted to point out this, because when you push our donation button, this will come up. We are able, this is Emily Metler. She was a student and that passed away. and her parents have created a foundation, and so we're able to collect donations to that foundation. So I just wanted to point this out because sometimes people are worried this isn't the right place for the donations, but it is. This is what it looks like. But anyway, thank you guys all so much. I really appreciate you all. Yes.
Where do they spend their time? Do they go up to Northwest Hawaiian Islands when they're not nesting, or do we know? Or-
This is a great question. So we're actually, they're still doing research on this. So we're helping put those satellite tags on the females so that we can monitor where they're going. We are seeing some like near Oahu and everything, but I think we need more information. We've only put out, I think, roughly like maybe 16 tags on some females over the last, I think since 2016, roughly. And so that's what we're really trying to analyze. So we have a student, there is a student that's working on that and the foraging aspect of things too. Because with those intervals of the nesting, we actually don't know where they're doing, what they're hanging out. So it's actually really exciting to be part of this. We actually had a female 2 years ago. I don't know what year it is. But her name's Rocket Girl. She's actually super famous on Maui. She's one of the most photographed Hawksbills. And that year, 2 years ago, they actually were able to put a satellite tag on her before she came and nested. And they gave us a call and they're like, she's on her way down. And we actually got the whole journey. We got her coming all the way down, all of her nesting intervals, and then the trip back to Maui. So I'm really excited to see what that holds. And so I know people are analyzing that very much. And so that's like what is really exciting for us is we don't have a lot of the answers, and those are things we're trying to find out. But we think they're just home base. This is a closed population, so they're not migrating to other populations, so they are staying within the Hawaiian Islands. Yes?
How many times, or how many eggs will she lay? How many times will one female lay eggs, or how many eggs will she lay in a lifetime? Do they come up every year or every year?
Great question. So on average, our Hawksbills are laying about 180 eggs in one nest. They're about ping pong sized ball. Ping pong. Whoa. Yeah, thank you. We don't sleep anymore. And the average 180, but the range can be 120 eggs to 200. So the range is pretty big. And she can nest about 3 to 4 times in one season. And she can come back multiple times. So sometimes they'll come back every 2 years. Every 2 to 6 years is usually when they come back. So the oldest are actually a couple years ago. We actually had one female. She was turtle number 14, the 14th turtle ever tagged. She was tagged in 1993, and that's when she was, we think, roughly 20 years, and she came up 2 years ago, so she's well over 50 and still doing it. So I think that's what we're also trying to figure out is how many times and how many intervals they're doing, but I don't have those numbers.
Do they have to mate each time they're going to lay eggs, or do you get stocked up?
So yeah, they kind of do both. They actually, females can actually hold sperm. This is actually a fun fact too. They can actually hold sperm, and in one clutch, you can have up to 4 different fathers. So that's also why we actually take some specimens, because we'll never see the male population side of things unless we have the DNA from some of these specimens. So that's actually one of the fun things too is, yeah, we can have up to 4 different fathers in one clutch, holding that sperm. Very special. Yes.
You showed a slide of 1988 to 2018, and one of the parts of the graph was a hatchling survival rate or hatching success percentage. Can you comment on like what metric that is, and have you seen any like additional success with you guys getting those last individuals out from being trapped under rocks or roots? Has that impacted the amount of turtles you're seeing?
That is a great question. So we have been collecting so much data for 30 years. And that's one of the things we're actually struggling with. We have all this data that's actually just sitting, and we've been taking stuff like that, like how many have been rescued, how many have been, like how much of our impact, and I don't have those numbers. We have them, but we're also actually working on digitalizing our data. It's all not digitalized, and so that's like a huge thing we're still working on too, is a lot of it, it's been around for so long, and we have so much data, we're actually still processing it. But we have taken it, but I just don't have numbers for you for
That's cool.
that. That's a great question.
Do you guys need interns?
Yeah, it's like graduate project.
Yes, that's like actually yes.
Noted.
Don't talk to me. Yes.
How old do the turtles have to be before you can tag them?
So we just tag our nesting females, and so we think they're roughly at the age around 20 when they start reproducing. But that's another thing too, is a lot of research that goes into sea turtles in general are a lot of other different species. Hawksbill, like a lot of greens, a lot of loggerheads. Hawksbills tend to not have like a lot of research done on them. So we always it's always tagged with the other species. So that's why we say it's a big range, 20 to 50 years old. But yeah, roughly them. Yes.
And on that note, do you have a average amount of new females you tag each nesting season? New recruits, if you will?
Yeah, so one of the things, especially, so since 2018, this, that graph is actually perfect because the 2018 cutoff, the project kind of stopped having to monitor because of the 2018 eruption. It really disrupted the whole season, and then since then we had COVID,
Right.
and now we're in a period of, we're actually not catching all of our females, so now we're at a point where we don't even know, we roughly know how many females we might be having, but we actually don't have like a good amount of how many are coming. But that graph, this one here, from this time period, from 1991 to 2018, they had almost constant coverage at most of our sites. So I think this is a good window, like a picture graph of that time period of how many we had at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, when we do our graphs and everything, I know we have more females. How many? I don't know, just because we're not out there all the time. And it's really hard to catch them in the act when we're not out there pretty consistently. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
You only tag the rear flippers?
Well, the project, we used to tag the projects, I wasn't there back then, but they used to tag all 4 flippers, but then we were finding that we think the front flippers are getting ripped out too soon, so now we just focus on the rear flippers for the metal tags. We also have been pit tagging, like a pit tag, like microchip with your dog or cat. We have been doing that as well as a backup because a lot of our metal tags, especially these old turtles, they've been around for a while, and even the readings of the metal tags are getting hard to read.
What would be the shiny metal tag when you track a predator?
That some people have talked about that as a concern. And I think that's why doing these back flippers are a better option because their flipper, that tag is actually really tucked in there. It's actually hard to see. Like when we have to look at them, we actually have to kind of pull out her flipper just to see them. So I think that's why the back flippers are another good option for that as well. But yes.
Do they go somewhere to mate, or when they just pass by on the reef, they're,
That's actually a really good question. I'm not 100% sure on the answer to that. I think it would be really cool to have some males tagged as well. But to be honest, I don't have like a actually great answer for that. Sorry. Yes.
Is there a main reason for the low survival rate that they have?
We're looking into a lot of that. So that's one of those temperature probes that we're trying to add to our project. Is one of the thoughts because our top site, Kamehame, it's a black sand beach, and we've been having so many storm events. Now Paca grows on the beach, and it's such a good, not just like a dune hole, it helps hold the beach, but it shades the nest as well. It really helps with keeping the nest cool and everything. And since I think it was 2021 or 22, that tropical storm Darby came and had ripped out all the Naupaka, and now we're having a lot of nests that our success isn't being great, and we think it might be due to the temperature. So we think temperature has a big deal effect because the black sand, like it gets hot, so we think these eggs are really just cooking. And things like trapment is a big thing. Predators are also, when I first started, we had for the first couple of years, was like 80% of our nests were predated in some way. And sometimes it's just a few eggs, sometimes it's the majority, because once one mongoose, we think the mongoose are exposing it, And then at night, rats are getting into it, cats are getting into it. And so it's just like continuous, like, once they figure out where it is, they'll just keep going to it. And so, that's one of the things we're still trying to find out.
And what are you looking for with the biopsy that you take?
For the females?
No, you said you biopsy some.
Oh, yeah. So, with the biopsies, we've been sending them out. They go to a lab. We just collect them. They're getting analyzed. And for the longest time, they knew who the females were. And so they were just doing paternal side, trying to see who the father side of those samples are. But now we're also doing hopefully both, because now we haven't been able to get to every female. So now we are hoping to identify the females through those samples as well. There's also hope that somebody's going to be able to do a study on the sex ratio as well with the flippers that we collect. So that's a hope. We're also hoping that is going to be a future endeavor for sure. So we're also taking that as well. Yes.
Are you getting sophisticated enough with the tags that you could tag like males and females and then like Apple tags, you know, where you know where they go and then you can tell them, oh, these two males are with this female right now. After
That would be
somebody's
so
there."
great. I used to joke that I wish we could have Apple tags on the hatchlings too, when they have like
Yeah.
go out, so we know exactly where they're going. But I'm really hoping technology is advancing so fast. I think we're gonna get to a point that we would be able to do something like that in the near future. I know a lot of other projects are doing all sorts of different things, because the first couple of years of a turtle's life is called lost years. We actually don't know where they're going. We're assuming out into open ocean, maybe finding conglomerates, and then just foraging out there until they get big enough and they start coming near the coral. But honestly, yeah, it's referred to as the lost years. We have no idea what they're doing. But I'm hoping technology catches up with us. Yes.
Speaking of air tags, and I saw you used a helicopter, what does the future of funding look like for this research, and is there any concern given the current political climate?
Yeah, definitely. Especially a lot of our funding is federal.
Yeah.
So we are definitely very worried about the future,
Yeah.
for sure. What it is, I can't say. Things happen so quickly and overnight sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, our federal funding is definitely, it's definitely a make or break for us for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yes.
Do the males come to shore?
No. The males do not come to shore. They spend their whole life in the ocean. The only time a male is on the beach is something wrong. Something's sick. It could be injured in some way. But yeah, we will never see the males. So that's why our project with the nesting activity is really important, because this is the only way we're going to figure out the actual population, or get a snapshot, I should say, of what the population could be. Because if we, when we do those nest excavations, we're actually, any eggs that don't make it, we are opening them, because those eggs can tell us a story. Partial development, like maybe they all died in one stage, that could tell us a story. Or if we start getting a lot of undeveloped eggs, maybe that's also telling us a story, especially on the male side of things. Maybe there's not enough males to go around. But these are all these great questions are what we're trying to figure out. Yes?
When the hatchlings are hatching, is it primarily at night or in the morning?
So they typically wait till at night. Hatchlings typically are waiting for the temperature to drop for them to get more active. But we've been noticing, because what they'll do is it's really cute. When they start hatching, they'll fall asleep and they'll wait for everybody else, because like I said, the safety in numbers. But we think they're making their way up too. And when they're up at the top, I think it's getting really, really hot during the day. So we have had hatchlings come out during the day, and I really think it's just because it's way too hot for them, so they come out. But typically they're waiting for that temperature to drop, and then they become more active at night. These are great questions. Yes.
Do you ever see any green sea turtle nests down south?
That is so funny you asked that. So we actually had a green nest last year. It was the second ever recorded on this island. We also think we might have a green this year. And yeah, so that's actually really interesting that that's starting to happen, because I've noticed in other islands too, they've also seen an increase of some green activity as well. Which, yeah, that So yes, we had one last year, and I'm pretty sure we have one right now.
And are you basing that on the tracks or the?
Tracks and also greens. Oops, sorry. They actually, when they nest too, they make these big craters. It's actually called body pits,
Okay.
and it's really obvious. It's like super big, and I'm like, what is that? It's like somebody came in with a crane, because sometimes the track's are already gone. And we did do a nest excavation, and we did see some big eggs, and we stopped the excavation because that's why I'm saying we think we have a green, because it's dramatically different size and eggs. So, but yeah, it's like where that nest was is really close to the water line, so we didn't even see. We just showed up to a crater one day, and so, but we haven't had anything else. So, kind of weird. One nest, I don't know. Yes.
Have you guys done genetics to see what other populations our populations most closely related to?
Yeah, so we've been helping collect those samples. Like I said, a lot of the samples are in information. It's just kind of sitting right now. We're hoping some people pick it up and analyze it. So like when I say there's a lot of potential research projects with this, there's a lot. But that's a big hope that we're having for sure. Yes.
So I was just thinking about the greens nesting.
Mhm.
Are you at liberty to say the areas that you think they might be nesting? Like, would they be nesting at Kaloko-Hunakahawa? Would they go all the way up to the vegetation line again?
Yeah, so that like nesting behavior with like them going up high, that's typically what they'll do. And then with the greens, they do make these big craters for Hawksbill. Sometimes you may not even notice that there's like a difference. But yeah, these body pits that they create to make a nest, it's pretty profound. It's pretty big.
And then they don't cover it up?
They do cover it, but like what they're doing is they're actually creating a crater because she'll like tilt herself in this way, and then when she covers, she doesn't fill in the whole hole. But it's pretty like significant as an activity, I guess, if you don't see the tracks. But yeah, that answered it.
General area.
But
Oh, like location, like actual beach.
yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry. So we think, so one of the nest last year was at Kamehame, which is one of our top sites. And this year, we think it's Kuhui. So it's a different beach. But I also think, yeah. Yeah, no. Yeah, Kuhui is now part of national park property, so. Yeah. These are good questions. Anything else?
What is the Instagram that's live right now? This phone. What can we
oh.
follow?
Malamakai Foundation,
Malamakai?
YouTube,
Okay.
and it's all the Reef Talks.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
I'm thinking about like unseen barriers to collecting data like this, because I know with anything beyond observational data, you have to get review board approval and things like that. So like, give us a little bit of a snapshot of the behind the scenes to be able to produce this kind of work.
Ooh, that is a great question. So my experience, so I've only been with the project since 2020, and I think when I arrived, one of the things we noticed is we just have so much data, and it's been collected but not analyzed and processed and gone through, and so that's what we're trying to work on right now. So what we're doing during our season, we're actually proofing data, we're going through it, we're trying to actually put it into a program called Access, so that we can actually like be able to pull things up. Some of our stuff is just on Excel sheets, so really, and also just paper. So that's what we're working on right now, is just to put it into a form so that we can start analyzing things and going through it way easier, more efficiently. But it is a lot. They took the amount of things they were collecting was actually, it's a lot. It's a lot of things they were collecting, which we still think is important and it's so valuable. But yeah, it's a very long process. But that's why, like, yeah, helping and like volunteers and stuff would be super helpful for us for sure. Yes.
Do you have to get government approval to do this?
Yeah, so everything we do, we have permits through Fish and Wildlife and NOAA. And all the beaches too, we have to access them in some way. They're on federal property, county, state, private property. So everything we have like permits on all the stuff that we're collecting, us to handle the females and anything we're collecting as well. We have to get permission for everything. So we have very rigid forms of doing it.
You flashed a phone number to call if you saw anything. It was so fast I couldn't
Oh,
get my phone.
yeah.
There's also cards as well over
Yeah,
at
we
the
have
table.
cards. We're gonna go back. Look at this up.
Oh yeah, make
Oh,
sure
cool.
everybody, you check out the informational table, the educational display. There's some great
Where was our phone number?
items over there.
Oh, there it is. That's the phone number. It's up at the top. Also our email. I think our email is one of the easier way to contact us because we're in the field all the time, and that's our office number. It's like just at the volcano office. But I've been trying to get it directed to our phone. It's a whole thing. It's not easy.
Do you think the reappearance of green turtles in some areas might have to do with the fact that we're not eating them anymore?
That is great.
People were probably killing them off, but
Yeah, that's, I know that discussion is definitely being discussed right now. I think it's an important discussion to absolutely have. And what I say, because we deal with hawksbills and not the greens so much, but the greens, or the hawksbills actually eat so many sponges, it makes toxicity. So we always say, if we start going to those practices again, the hawksbills may be a little less off the table, just because you might get sick eating them. But I know that's a discussion being had, and on our end, it's usually greens, even globally. If you go to anywhere else around the world, greens are usually consumed for meat and everything. Hawksbills are actually consumed more for their shell. They were used for tortoise shell, jewelry, bowls, some medicinal purposes as well. But yeah, that's definitely discussions I know that are being had right now, for sure. Yes.
So if hawksbills primarily eat sponges, are there other food items that's on their menu? Because, I mean, we don't generally have a huge amount of sponges as other places do.
Yeah, and so they eat kind of like, they're kind of
Opportunistic.
Thank you. They eat invertebrates. They eat multiple things for sure, but definitely the primary was the sponges. And actually, some people have been doing more gut analysis on any hawksbills, which is super rare, of stranded or dead hawksbills. I know that some people have been doing some gut research because they are seeing a difference in how much sponges are being consumed, which is super interesting as well. So they definitely eat other things, but that's, I guess, the luxury, the delicacy maybe. They like it. Yes.
Are tiger sharks the only like animal that eats them?
So when they get to a certain size, it definitely becomes more difficult. But tiger sharks, with the hatchlings, natural predators, crabs, when they're coming out of the sand, birds as well is a big predator as well. But once they reach a certain size, they like tiger sharks even start having issues because in general sea turtles get that big because the sharks have a harder time of gripping them. There's actually been some really cool drone footage of, if you look on YouTube, it's a really cool of a, I don't know what kind of shark, but a turtle's out maneuvering a shark. It's actually really incredible to watch. I would definitely go check that out. So it's actually really cool to see. But for the most part, it's usually just, especially hatchlings, they're also really small, and we know fish are eating them at that stage too. So I used to work on Padre in Texas, and they do a lot of shark fishing off the coast. And one time somebody caught a hammerhead and had a fish and it had like 10 hatchlings in it. And so, it was the food chain, like perfect example of the food chain.
Would it be unusual for us to see a hawksbill on this side of the island?
So I haven't been, some people have been letting me know that, especially here in Kona, that they've been seeing some juvenile hawksbills. And I would say, like, get some pictures and videos, because we can be able to help confirm it. It would also be really great to know that, because that would be super exciting to find out what our juveniles are, like, maybe foraging on this side of the island. That'd be super crucial.
In general, are they just a larger turtle though than the greens?
No, they're actually smaller. Yeah, hawksbills actually, compared to other species, they're one of the smaller species. They're not the
When
smallest.
they're mature?
Yeah,
Yeah.
even when they're mature. Yeah, so our females, their shell's about 3 feet in length, and they're usually about 175, 200 pounds. I think they're way bigger, but those females are strong. But yeah, and then the greens are much more bigger, especially on this island. I've noticed it's a lot of juveniles and subadults greens hanging around, where the adults, they definitely are, I feel like I've seen them way more, yeah, further down,
Cool.
which is really interesting, for sure. Anything else? You guys have great questions. Yes.
So in that aspect, we're only gonna see a hawksbill if she's not nesting, if you're snorkeling or diving.
So
'Cause
I,
they're not gonna be sitting on the land like the greens.
correct, yes. You're definitely just gonna see them in the water unless she's nesting. And I've actually heard of a lot of people that have been diving, that they see a turtle and then she's like, or they're like gone. They tend to be a little bit more skittish than the greens. I feel like the greens really are chilling, hanging out. They feel, yeah, they're definitely unaffected, but our females are super, especially the hawksbills, are super jumpy. And that's one of our worries too, is we wait until she is not bothered, and we do minimal things because we do not want to bother her in any way. But I have heard about juveniles, and I really encourage like pictures, videos, we can zoom in on that stuff. There is a woman, her name's Cheryl King. She's actually working on, she has a whole bunch of pictures because we have such a small population. She's actually able to identify individuals by their facial skills. So you might be able to, yeah, that's way crazy. I didn't even know that was a thing. But yeah, pictures and videos are super helpful, and she's able to maybe identify some certain individuals, which would be cool because, like I said, Rocket Girl, who I mentioned earlier, everybody knows where she hangs out. She's got like a certain place that she is well known for, and yeah, she's super photographed. And of course, she picks Punaluu to nest at, so I think she needs our attention all the time. She's definitely human-oriented for sure. But yeah. Any other questions?
Okay, well, thank you so much,
Yeah,
Kelleigh.
thank you.